Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Thursday. I'm a little wiped out right now. I was outside working in the yard all day getting ready for spring, so I may be a little slow today, okay? But we got a lot to talk about. Today was a great day in the markets. We had Bitcoin, Ethereum. The markets were up today. Miners were up great today, so it was a fantastic day for all of us. We got that to talk about. We'll also take a look at some of the stories that we do have, which is Iris Energy provides 5.5 exahash installation update. We also have Cipher Mining, which announces their first quarter 2023 business update conference call. They're kind of like one of the first ones out of the gate here. They're trying to, I think, get ahead of everybody else. Mawson also provided their March update, so we'll get into that. We'll look through it all as well. And then we'll also take a look at Bitfarms, previous all-time high. So we've done this for CleanSpark already, Marathon, and Riot. We got Bitfarms up next, and then we'll do Hut and Hive as well in the coming days coming up here, okay? So as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research and don't fall for scams and spam. And I'm investing in following coins and companies for full disclosure, so you guys are aware. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. So let's take a look at the markets here, see what's going on there on that one. So the S&P was up today 1.33% to 4,146. Dow Jones was up 1.14% to 34,029. NASDAQ was up 2.03% to 13,109. So it was a good day in the markets overall. Bitcoin was also up today quite nicely, kind of rebounded from where it went down yesterday. It was up 1.65% to a close of 30,406. It is up again now about 1.07% to 30,727. So it's looking pretty good here. The RSI on right now is about 71 or something like that. The good thing is we had a little bit of a breather yesterday. Then we popped back up a little bit here, which was good. We're still okay. So if this continues to be the trend where we go up 2 to 3 days, come back down a little bit, have a little bit of breather, and go back up, we might be going back up to our next resistance here, which is going to be right around, let's see here, right around the, I can't pull this down here, 32,200 line roughly. We may actually get to that. That might be kind of cool though. Okay, so we'll see if that happens or not. And then if we look at the 4-hour chart, you can see here that the RSI has come down. Price has come back up though, and RSI is actually lower now. So that's a good sign there as well. Looking at the 1-hour chart, we can see the same kind of thing here. RSI has been coming down here, but price has then been going up. So that's also a good sign. So like I said, we may continue to go up to about the 32,200 mark. After that, I would expect a little bit of a pullback. And the reason for that is the monthly is getting, the weekly is getting a little high here on the RSI right now. We were higher than that previously, but we are getting kind of high up there. So I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of a pullback if that happens. Okay, so that's Bitcoin, Ethereum. If we take a look at that one, Ethereum has been doing pretty good as well. You can see here that the RSI did come down a little bit here while price was going up, and the RSI is back up a little bit here on the daily to about 75. So that is looking good at 2,096. Sorry. Like I said, I'm a little bit tired. On the 4-hour chart, we can see here we have a nice pump here right now, and the RSI is peaking a little bit here at 83. We are in the overbought territory a little bit. Wouldn't be surprised if you have a little bit of a pullback here happening in a little while. 1-hour chart, same thing. We can see here on the 1-hour chart, we are definitely pumping pretty hard here, but we'll see how it continues going forward on that one. Okay, so that's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the markets themselves. Let's take a look at the miners themselves, see how they did today. They had a really fantastic day today. Annie was up 13.63% to 40 cents. Argo was up 4.33%, so not as great of a day as some of the other ones, but still in the plus territory. They were up to $1.57. BitDigital was up nicely, 16.56% to $1.90. Bitfarms was up 13.64% to $1.25. So we've had a couple days here now where we are above $1. I'd like to see this continue on for at least another 7 or 8 days so we can get that NASDAQ compliance. And then Cipher was up 12.29% to $2.65. It seems like that one's kind of peaking here a little bit, right around. It's having a hard time getting above the previous high, which was 290, and it is kind of closing, a little bit lower than where the highs were before and where it started out. But we'll see how that one continues going forward. CleanSpark also had a fantastic day today. It was up 20.86% to $3.94. It seems like I tweeted about this. Investors are finally starting to notice them, especially with the story that came out earlier this week for them getting to 16 exahash. Core Scientific was up nicely today as well, 16.81% to 45 cents. DigiHost was up 12.12% to $1.85. DMG was up 6.69% to 225 cents. Greenidge was up really good today, 24.27% to 64 cents. Hive was up 12% roughly to $4.01. Hut 8 was up 14.06% to $2.19. Iris Energy was up 15.07% to $4.20. Marathon was up 15.78% to $11.52. Mawson was up 6.67% to $3.20. Riot was up 9.31% to $13.50. Soluna was up 2.2% to 25 cents. And Stronghold was up 23% to 97 cents. They've had a pretty nice run up here lately. And TeraWulf has continued its nice run up as well, 12.59% to $1.52 right now. And that is it. That's that one. Let's take a look at the network hash rate really quick here while we're at it. Let's see if we can get this refreshed. See what's going up there. 7-day average has been climbing here. It is now at 350 million terahashes per second. And then the 1-day average, if we take a look at it, it has come down a little bit here to 338 million right now. Okay. Let's take a look at our stories that we do have, and we'll get into Bitfarms then. Moss and Bitfarms. So Iris Energy provides 5.5 exahash installation update. They have been doing pretty good here lately, which is nice to see. Here's the update. Iris Energy is pleased to advise that it has increased its operating hash rate from 3.1 exahash to a current level of 3.6 exahash as part of the company's recent announced increase in self-mining capacity to 5.5 exahash. This is pretty good growth. This was obviously the 3.1 exahash was at the end of March. So within the last, you could say 2 weeks, they increased that by 500 petahash, which is really good. So good growth there from them. All remaining 1.9 exahash of miners have now been delivered and are pending installation. So that's great there as well. They have all the miners in place. They just got to get them hooked up and installed. So we might have a pretty good April here for them, depending on how many they install. 160 megawatts of data centers supporting 4.9 exahash is available immediately. So they can at least get to the 4.9 with that. With commissioning of the first 20 megawatt at Childress, supporting the remaining 0.6 exahash expected in the coming weeks. So that's good there. And then the 600 megawatt Childress substation energized. The company is pleased to advise that on April 6th, the 600 megawatt bulk power substation at Childress was energized, completing the connection of the site to the ERCOT grid. As previously disclosed, following completion of the connection, approximately 18 million in previous deposits with the AEP Texas are expected to be refunded. So that's a nice chunk of change there, $18 million that they're going to get back. So that would be great there. Additional share acquisition by directors. I thought this was kind of interesting. So the company also advised that between April 6, 2023 and April 11th, an entity affiliated with Mr. Michael Alfred, a director of the company's board of directors, acquired an additional 75,000 of additional shares for consideration of approximately $264,803. Since March 13th, the relevant affiliated entity has acquired 430,461 ordinary shares in aggregate for a total consideration of approximately $1.28 million. Somebody has a lot of faith in them doing really well here going forward, or they have some insider information which we are not privy to, which they should not be privy to as well. Okay, so I thought this was really good. This is always a good thing to look for. Anytime investors are buying or insiders are buying, that's always great because it does show that they have confidence in the stock going up higher from there. So if stock goes up 10x, this guy's going to be walking out with, well, what is that going to be? 10 times that, 12 million roughly, all right? If that works out that way, if that's what happens with it. So that's fantastic there. And then let's take a look at Cipher Mining here. This is going to be really quick. Cipher Mining announces date of first quarter 2023 business update conference call. This is, I think, the first company that has reported they're going to be providing their Q1 numbers. And Cipher today announced it will provide a business update and release its first quarter 2023 financial results before U.S. market opens on Tuesday, May 9th, 2023. Cipher will host a conference call and webcast that day at 8 a.m. Eastern time. So it seems like they're trying to get ahead of everybody else to report the Q1 numbers. And they're trying to kind of keep that same momentum going with the way their stock has been going up lately. I think they're trying to capitalize on that and keep that going forward, which I think is fine, which is good. I just want to provide this to you guys as well. Next is going to be Mawson. Mawson Infrastructure Group Inc. announces March 2023 production update. Here are the details that we have on them. March Bitcoin self-mining energy market program and hosting co-location results. So total self-mining Bitcoin production was 42.97, which is kind of what they had in, what was that, February as well, right? They were pretty close to that. Self-mining miners installed was 5,880. Energy market program revenue was approximately, what is it, 90,000, it looks like. And then the hosting, co-location revenue was 1.55 million, so they are generating more from hosting. Don't know what the margins are on that one right now. We'll wait until we get the Q1 results from them. We'll see what the margins are. On that one, key achievements in March, entered into a sale agreement for Texas sites and related equipment for 8.5 million. So that's good. They're getting out of that area. And they're going to basically concentrate on the Pennsylvania area, the one that they have working on right now. Final stages of energization and commissioning commenced for the 120 megawatt Midland, Pennsylvania site expansion. And then final stages of energization and commissioning commenced for the first 12 megawatts of 120 megawatt at Sharon, Pennsylvania. And then all the arrival of the Australian AC miners, 5,392 in Midland, Pennsylvania, have arrived. So that's also good there. And then we've also covered their operational focus in the past. I'm not going to get into it. You guys can read it here if you like. And this is all from Yahoo Finance, so you can find it all on there. Okay, so let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them, and we'll see where they stand right now. So Mawson right now has 14.1 million shares outstanding, roughly. Stock price is at $3.20. Market cap is at 45.2 million, as it is right now. Current hash rate is about 533 petahash. Future hash rate that we have for them right now is 1.7 exahash. So they are still on the smaller side of things. I'd like to see them grow more, but they do have sites where they can grow. We'll see how they grow going forward, and I believe they are going to be growing forward. So currently they're about 31.34% operational. Future hash rate growth is about 219. They don't hodl any Bitcoin right now, so that's at 0. And their hash rate per average per miner is 89 terahashes, almost 90 terahashes, which is fine. Bitcoin production here, you can see here that they peaked in May of last year at 185. From there, they were coming down here. Their worst month was in December of last year, 23.34 Bitcoin only mined, but they have improved a little bit here ever since then. They had 34.93 in January, 43.3 in February, and they actually mined a little bit less here, 42.97, which is expected since they didn't install any hash rate, and the network hash rate has gone up, so that's kind of what we see is a little bit less production when that happens. Okay, Bitcoin's BTC per exahash efficiency-wise, ever since February, they've been pretty stable here around 80, 81, 80, still on the lower side. Some of the other miners are a little bit higher than that, but so it's not too bad there. And we can see here that they mined 42.97 Bitcoin. That got us to approximately 1.08 million in revenue for them. Based on that, we can see here that they were basically mining for about 28 and a half or so roughly days in February with the miners that they do have here. Okay, so that's for the miners there. That got us to the 1.079, 1.8, 1.08 in revenue. As far as institutions are concerned, institutions did increase a little bit to 18. Shares also increased to 761,150, but percentage owned for some reason went down to 5.39. So I'm guessing there's a little bit of dilution happening here in the shares just from a month ago. Possibly. We still have the same analyst ratings, so one buy rating. Price targets are still the same, $12 for the high, $7.50 for the low, or for the average, and $3 for the low on that one. Okay, based on my numbers here, we can see that the last 3 quarters, they generated approximately 24.32 million, but the revenue has been coming down here quite a bit here. It is now, the first quarter looks like it's going to be a little bit higher. It's going to be about 2.8 million compared to the 2.2 million in Q4, which is good. So they have increased that, but Bitcoin price has also gone up. So that's definitely helping them out right now. But it's a far cry from where it was at 16.2 million in, what was that, Q2, at the end of Q2 in June of last year. Based on all of these numbers and where they're growing, we're looking at about 27 million total, 50% net income from gross revenue. We're looking at 1439. I think that's actually kind of high. We probably should reduce that down to about a PE of 10. That would get us to about 960. And if they're really efficient at 75% net income from gross revenue, then we're looking at $14.39, somewhere around there. They are at $3.20. I think they are still undervalued. And I think that maybe the PE might be even a little high for them right now because they do still have some growth to them, but they're not getting that high as far as right now. Now, if they continue to expand out their facilities and figure out ways to get miners installed, they can dilute more if they wanted to. They have not a lot of shares out. I think they have one of the lowest numbers of all the miners here as far as shares count is concerned. So they do have room to expand that way where they could dilute and grow that way, but we'll see. Nothing has been made concrete yet, and if it does, we'll obviously update you guys right now. But Biggest thing for them is getting the miners that they got from Australia, getting those installed, getting the facilities hooked up with energization, getting miners installed, growing their hash rate, and getting that done as quickly as possible, because we are only a year away from the halving event, which is going to decrease their production by half. Okay, so that's my biggest thing there. These guys, like I said, are undervalued, but they are smaller, so I think there are better miners out there that are growing much faster and have a much better potential going forward than Mawson right now does, until they actually provide us with some information that they are growing beyond the 1.7. I'd like to see them grow to about 5 or higher, potentially, if they can. That would make them really good, but at least if they can get to about 5 to 7, that would get them in line with ones like Cypher, who else? Iris, and Terrawolf. That would kind of put them in that kind of boat. Right now, they're kind of sitting around where where Hut 8 is at, Hive, and one other, maybe around that 2.5 exahash mark, somewhere around there. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at there. Let me know if you guys have any questions, comments in the comments down below. Okay, so that's Mawson right there. Let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitfarms. So with Bitfarms, we have done this, like I said before, with CleanSpark, Marathon, and Riot. We're going to do the same thing with Bitfarms here. Bitfarms has been mining for quite a while here, since like 2017, I believe. So they've been through this kind of bull cycle before and this bear cycle, and we have some pretty good data on them, along with upcoming was going to be Hut 8 and Hive as well. We'll see where those guys were at that time, where they are now, and where could they possibly end up here in this coming up bull run. Okay, so let's get into it here, and we'll go through it as always. So here's what we got then and now. So back in November 9th of 2021, their market cap was about 1.5 billion. They had pretty good valuation back then, considering where they were as far as hash rate growth and everything else. But this is kind of what we're looking at here. Stock price at that point was $8.91. We know right now that they are at what, $1.20 something right now, right? If I'm not mistaken. Where do they end up at here? Let me take a look here. $1.25. Okay, so they're $1.25 right now. So that would represent basically getting back to that price. Approximately, what would that be? 5-6x potential growth for them. Okay. Let's see. Shares back then, they had 167 million outstanding. BTC price at that point was 66.9 million. Currently, as of today, they have 276 million in market cap. Stock price is $1.25. Shares, looks like it's 221 million. If we take the market cap divided by the stock price, we end up with this amount of shares. Bitcoin price right now, when I checked it, was 30,402. It has gone up since then. And if we look at the differences between the two, so they're down about 1.21 billion in market cap in just over a year and a half, basically. That's 81% down. Stock price is down $7.66 from then, down 85.9%. Shares have increased by 54 million shares, 32% increase in that. And Bitcoin price is down 36.5 thousand and 54.5% down from where it was. Okay, that's kind of what we're looking at. Now, looking at the numbers here, in November of 2021, they reported for October having mined 343 Bitcoin at that point. They were at 1.8 exahash at that time frame. Bitcoin price was at 66.9 thousand. Revenue basically amounted to about 22.9 million at that time, which was really good. And if we take the market cap here, let me see. Take the market cap at that time divided by the monthly revenue times 12 months. So we're looking at the forward PE. We got a forward PE of 5.40 at that time. If we do the same math going today, they reported 424 Bitcoin being mined in March. They are at 4.8 exahash right now. Bitcoin price right now is at 30,402. Revenue equates to about 12.89 million as it is, and then using that number here, we get to 1.79 is kind of what they're getting as their forward PE multiple, which is pretty low. All right, if we look at some of the other ones that we have here, I'll point this out to you guys here as well. Let's see here, which one do I want to do? I want to do this one. So if we look at CleanSpark, which we did yesterday, we can see that CleanSpark was at 4.52 on the high end, 1.2, so they're pretty close to that range right there, right? But CleanSpark was also much smaller at that time, and they were just starting out that year, whereas Bitfarms has been mining for a couple more years. If we look at Riot, Riot was obviously getting a heck of a lot more forward PE. They were at 46.95 at their peak, and at their low here just recently, this past week or last week, they were at 6.54. And then if we look at Marathon as well, Marathon was at 19.83 to 481. So that's kind of the scope of things between these kind of miners here that we do have, okay? All right, let's go back here. So this is kind of what we're working with, and these are the numbers that we're really going to be working here, the multiples, looking at how those are going to stack up. So to reach previous all-time high market cap of 1.489 billion, I'm adding 30 million shares possibly to them by the end of, well, by the time the Bitcoin halving happens, which is next year. So basically a year out, right? I'm being pretty conservative here as far as how much they're adding, and maybe a little high on the high end, but we'll see. So in total, they would have about 251 million shares out. At that point, in order to reach their previous market high, the stock price would have to be at $5.92. They are at $1.25 right now. It is possible for them to get there. It just depends what kind of multiple they get, okay? So we're going to use the lowest multiple first. We'll go to the second highest that they have, and then we'll kind of give a multiple where I think they possibly might get to, but we'll see. So 1.79 multiple, we're looking at futures having, so this is after the halving event, what they possibly could be mining with Bitcoin rewards if they get to the 7.5 exahash here, and they might get it to, they might grow that even more. Right now, all we have is reported is about 7.5 exahash. So like I said, 290 Bitcoin at that time after the halving event. Bitcoin price would have to be basically 240,000. Revenue would be 70 million per month in order for them to get to the 1.495 billion market cap and stock price of about $5.95 on that one. Now, if we wanted to get to this previous stock high, the price stock, how do I say it? Stock price high level of $8 and something, we would need to be at, with a Bitcoin of 360,000. Revenue would be 104 million at that point, and market cap would be at 2.2 billion at that point, which would get us to about the high price for the stock, $8.93. Okay, that's using obviously the multiple of 1.79, which I think is pretty low. Given that Bitcoin is going to be going up, I would expect that to go up a little bit more than where that would be. So if we look at the higher end of it, which would be 5.41 that they got at the peak of last one, still same numbers here, still mining 290 Bitcoins a month after the halving event. Petahash stays the same. Bitcoin price would need to be 79.5 thousand for them to get to the $5.85 or the 1.49 billion market cap. Okay, so we're still right around there, but Bitcoin price would have to be much lower at that point if they get a higher future multiple. If Bitcoin goes up to 120,000, well then we're looking at possibly having a market cap of 8.9, which would be their high, previous high, and market cap would be about 2.2 billion in that. But if Bitcoin goes up higher than this to 150,000, well, then we're looking at possibly market cap of 2.8 billion and a stock price of around $11.22, right, with the same amount of shares. So the 250, I think it was 251 million shares possibly out there, right? So these are kind of the lower end parts of it. I think they might be able to get a little bit higher depending on how they do. I'm being a little bit conservative on this. I think they might be able to get a 10, possibly a little lower than that, maybe around an 8 or something like that, if Bitcoin really starts ramping up here later on this year and then after the halving event. So same numbers as before. Now, if we get a forward P of 10, we're looking at about $43,000 in Bitcoin price for them to reach their previous market cap all-time high, 1.49 billion. If Bitcoin goes up to 100,000, at that point we would get a market cap of 3.4 billion and a stock price of $13.85. If Bitcoin goes up to 150,000, we could be looking at 5.2 billion market cap for them and a stock price of $20.78. So really what we're looking at is possibly somewhere between, I think, these numbers here, where the stock might end up after the halving event with Bitcoin going up to 150, maybe 200,000. But it really does depend on the future multiple that they get from investors. So like I showed you guys before with Riot, it's got a huge multiple of 48 or 49, something like that, 46, and a low of 6.54. Marathon, on the other hand, got 19.83 and 481, right? So it kind of falls in somewhere in between there. So we'll see where they do end up at. Now, the biggest thing, obviously, is for them to grow. And the reason for that is with being at 7.5 exahash, they will be kind of in line with where like Iris is going to be at, TeraWulf, Cypher. They're going to be in kind of all of those company there, along with possibly other ones as well. And we're seeing ones that like are Marathon, Riot, CleanSpark. They're getting above that 12 or 10 exahash. Those guys are going to be, I think, in a league of their own. So I think it would be prudent for all of these miners that are down below the 10 exahash to try to at least get up to the 10 exahash, if not higher, before the next halving event, because that is going to definitely hurt more for those guys than some of the guys that are above that right now. Okay, but let me know what you guys think of this. We still have a couple ones to finish up here. We still got, like I said, Hut 8 and Hive to go over. We also have a couple, let me see here, if I can pull this up really quick for you guys as well. It is going to be right there. So we're still waiting on a couple of miners to provide the production updates for March. We still have right now Sphere 3D is missing, and we have Hive as well. So I'm waiting on those. I'm hoping Hive provides theirs in maybe tomorrow or by Monday at least. If they don't provide that, we'll do a comparison for all the miners for March, how they stacked up, which one did best, which one did worst for that month. And then as far as the quarterly results for Q4, end of 2022, we're still missing a couple miners here, which are, let me see if I can zoom this in for you guys even more, maybe. You can see here that we're still waiting on Argo to provide their numbers, along with Bit Digital and Core Scientific. So if those guys don't provide their numbers within the next week or two or something like that, we may just omit them from the quarterly results for the miners, see who did best, who did worst during that time frame, and that will be coming up here probably in the next week or two as well. Okay, so that's kind of what's planned for the future as far as what's going on. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my Patreon members. The spreadsheet will be available to them along with the PowerPoint presentation or keynote. And that is it. If you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. It helps me out tremendously. And I hope you guys have a great night. I'll see you guys in the next one.